Hey everyone, we're back. Let me get my sound off here so you don't get reverb or anything. All right. Another Sunday starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, got a new camera, got some new audio equipment, aka new hamsters, and a new hamster wheel. We'll see if they keep up with the show. Last camera is sitting here with some rice trying to dry out and see if it comes back to life or not. You probably heard all about it in a live stream on Deep in the Mole if you're a member. So a little bit late today. Was troubleshooting, I guess. The landlords of the retail store are doing some long deferred maintenance, and they've got caution tape all in front of the store, so it looks like it wouldn't even be open because they're pressure washing and doing stuff. And unfortunately, our landlords are not very good at communication, and so they tend to wait till you know right before they do something. Where I want to say in this instance, it was like, oh, by the way, it's gonna be a whole month of like redoing the roof and doing all the things, and it's gonna start 13 hours from now. And so, zero planning on our part. So if you're driving to the store, we are open. And yeah, so trying to get the store manager to help figure that out, like track down these people that are going to be pressure washing. Let's figure this out. There's no way the plan is to close off an entire building on a Sunday. That can't be the plan. So that's why I was a little bit late today. But we can talk about fish and yeah, I did receive some cookies this week, so I was pretty pleased about that. Someone sent me some cookies, which is real good. Let's see here. Yeah, new camera. So this is the camera I normally would film like the videos with. Well, not talking head videos, but like when I go somewhere and I film, or I'm filming my own aquariums and I'm behind the camera. And so this is a higher quality camera. Shows every pore on my skin probably, which is lovely. But yeah, hopefully it looks good on your TV if you're watching on a TV. It should be in high resolution. Think I've got some guppies birthing? Nice. I need to double down on the guppy birthing transaction? No, contraption that I've been brewing through 3D printing and everything. Kind of go through these phases where you get a product from an idea to working, and then I guess I don't know if bored's the right word, but I start running out of ideas when it's the break it phase, where it's like, okay, this thing's working really good. Now, what way are we going to break it? They could do that. They could do this. So, like, one of the things we tested was the fry get collected in a thing. And so I've had fry in there for like 2 months just to be able to prove to myself that if and when we ever launch this product, if someone gives feedback like the fry got killed because of your design, I can at least say I've tested that, and which always happens. Basically, we make a thing, and no matter what the thing is, doesn't really matter. But someone will add a thing to their aquarium, and then something bad will happen to their aquarium, and human brain goes, the only thing I changed was insert X. X could be a product from us, a product from another company, anything, and that will be the culprit. So if like, hey, my fish is missing, the only thing I've done is I used this dechlorinator I hadn't used before, and so that must be the culprit. And in our lives, sure, maybe 50% of the time that's true. Like, hey, I changed the pattern I did, I got a different result, and that's fair. But then the other half of the time, it's equally as much. It's just coincidence, or the human doesn't notice all the other changes. Like, okay, well, the temperature changed, or something that we see a lot of would be like, oh, like 3 weeks later, I didn't realize that my heater was going bad, or that, the filter was clogged up, or something like that. So with the testing process, I've got the thing that works, and it was working. I get to use it, and I love that. And now it's the unfun part of like, okay, how are people going to not understand this product, use it in the wrong way, think it's doing something wrong? And so it's a long process trying to guess what everyone's going to do because I'm one person, and when we start selling a product, it's like 10,000 people are using it. It's like rapid fire. Like I didn't think someone was going to do that. I didn't understand that. I didn't think, you know. So, let's see. If my tap water has chloramines, where does the leftover ammonia go after I dechlorinate it? Yeah, so the first thing that happens is almost all dechlorinators. I think that's true. If you're buying a dechlorinator off the shelf, I think all of them have something that's going to bind up the ammonia. And that chemical typically binds to it or bonds to it for 24 hours before that bond would break again. So we break down your chloramine or chlorine into non-toxic things, or at least we're going to make them non-toxic. A chemical in the dechlorinator, after it breaks that bond, is going to bond to it, the free ammonia, and bind that up. And for about 24 hours, it's non-toxic. And the good news is in that form, it can still be consumed by bacteria and things in your filter, or you don't have to run a filtered tank, but it'll be consumed by your aquarium. And as long as we have a healthy ecosystem, that will happen usually well within 24 hours, and it'll be no problem at all. And that's how dechlorinator works. Now, if you have like my bacteria is compromised because it's a new tank, or you do too big a water change, or you're doing a big water change and you're changing the canister filter and you're doing, all of these things, then you can hit, you might get a bacterial bloom. You could run into some problems there. And so that's where we learn, or we hear about, like, you can dose dechlorinator every day and it will, what is I'm trying to think of what like a prime says, like detoxifies ammonia or whatever it says. And yeah, it's true. It does do that, but it's a very limited, once a day. And what I fear about that is that a lot of people will change water and they'll be racing. They'll be running uphill. That's what they're doing. They're running uphill, and if you're cycling a tank or trying to season a tank, and you've got fish and there's ammonia, and you're using a dechlorinator to lock up the ammonia every day, you could be creating more ammonia, and you probably are, especially with a new tank, than your tank is digesting. And so each day, maybe you're at, half a part per million, and your tank can digest a quarter part per million. But then you water change the next day, and now you're at 3/4 parts per million. And it's being locked up every day, and that's true. But we can also see where one misdosing, an ammonia spike will take stuff out, because the ammonia is quite high, but it's locked up in this non-lethal form. And then all of a sudden it becomes lethal because the bonds are breaking on the dechlorinator, because it didn't handle it in 24 hours. And so that's why I recommend a much more natural, like, try to actually cycle a tank by getting it seasoned, growing some plants, getting some algae growing and all of that. And it's not that it can't be done, because I've done it a million times. Lots of people have done it a million times. It's the removing the oopsies of, like, oh, well, I got really busy at work and I went 36 hours instead. Like, yeah, well, that can cause some harm, and especially if you burn gills and stuff. So, let's see here. I hate to get too technical, but dechlorinator does not bind up ammonia. There is no chemical pathway for doing that. All right. Well, maybe hop on the forum and explain that, because that's the way I understand it. So my advice, or oh, here we go. Dechlorinator has a sulfate containing chemical in it, like sodium bisulfate or sodium thiosulfate, which that's the normal dechlorinator crystals. They're reducing agents, so they reduce the free chlorine into non-toxic chloride ions. All right. And why, if it reduces it, why do we see that spike come back? Like, if it's not binding to it, why does it spike back after 24 hours? That would be my question. And I'm hoping Iratum knows that answer for us. How likely is it to introduce parasites or pathogens feeding rinsed mosquito larvae harvested from a 35-gallon tub on the back patio? I would basically say near impossible from my experiences. I've fed pounds and pounds and pounds over the last 20 years, and I've never had something where I've taken food from my own little ponds that I've intentionally been trying to grow and uh fed it to my aquariums and seen a detriment other than like you could overfeed an aquarium, but I've never that I can track have introduced a parasite, even though that birds can carry a lot of parasites, and we do well. I'm trying to think. Not that many birds visit my little ponds because they're right next to a house normally. But if they're in a garden, I could see where that could be. But even then, I don't see tons of parasites in ponds with fish. I mean, there are, but what am I trying to say? Like my big pond, there's 1,000 birds every day visiting that thing, taking a drink. We have a video of an owl doing it like 2 days ago, like all the time. And the fish that live in there, I don't see any visible parasites. I don't see them being detrimental for that. And so that's where I would come with the like, seems pretty darn unlikely. I'm sure there's regional differences around the world or something where it's like, oh, this bug or this bird or this thing in our water. But in my practical application, I've yet to ever see that. It eliminates free chlorine. It does not affect ammonia. It will turn free chlorine into chloride ions and chemically convert chloramine to chloride ions and ammonia. I have to Google this. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if if I can read a breakdown about this, because this is counter to what I understand. Uh, so like this, not that this a Reddit post is factual, but like Prime has a binding agent that traps ammonia. I'm trying to find. Okay, Aquarium Science says it does not have a binding agent in the ammonia. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna dig into this more because this is not good content on the fly. Let's look up Hikari Ultimate. And the reason I say this is because where I learned this or where I really understood this was like with Hikari Ultimate, you've got koi that are hundreds of thousands of dollars, and every day they're utilizing Hikari Ultimate to make the ammonia non-toxic while they're in pools of water being judged with lineage and like the amount of money being spent to fly koi in from across the country to win awards, and then the whole event is relying on Hikari Ultimate to bind up the ammonia that's being released in these like 600-gallon pools with 3-foot koi. Um, let's see here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to just dig into it more because everything's surface level, and this is deeper than surface level. And on a live stream, I'm not being able to find something definitive outside of this user's comment, which I guess I shouldn't say that's definitive either. Like it's one person on the internet. I'm not saying that you're not correct, but need to formulate a more broad opinion on this. Apparently. Either way, it'll be good reading. Let's see, ionized ammonia. There's a koi fin article. Let's see if they've got. You gotta love the forums. My guess is it works this way. Oh, geez. All right. Well, more research to be done, and yeah. All right. Have I visited Lucas's shop? Hold on. Have you clearly visited Lucas shop, LRB? All of his tanks are non-filtered. Um, I mean, I've only visited his previous house. I presented at a event with Lucas, and we basically think two different methods are the best way. He leans heavily into basically nature, so much so he doesn't even run air, and I lean the other way, where I think every aquarium should always have air. And what I would say to this is, if let's say you take 10 different aquarists, they're all seasoned, they all have different opinions. I think where mine differs is my opinion guides people that are using my products and follow the ways I keep aquariums, and I have a large following. And so, what do I want to say there? If I said everyone should never use oxygen in their aquariums again, like LRB Aquatics, I think over the next month we'd see a lot of dead fish. And it's not that you can't do it his way, it's that there are aquariums out there that are too densely stocked. A great example would be if I turn the air off in my store, I can see distress in the fish after about 16 hours. It's not right away because with power outages and things, we don't typically have problems. And so I guess I lean the opposite direction. In my view, air is virtually zero maintenance. It's a very, very cheap resource, and the amount of benefits that come from it are vast. Not only does oxygen in the water, but circulation, breaking up protein films. Um, yeah, the scope of each one of those things is huge. And so that's why I will always be like, every aquarium should have air, because it's the cheapest thing we can install, the most reliable thing we can install, and prevents so many oops, that's not good. Where the polar opposite of that side would be larger aquariums, lessly dense stocked fish, and then relying on nature. The other thing too is with a dissolved oxygen meter, with a big planted tank, oxygen crashes through the ground in my testing, in my store, at my house. So if you have a big planted tank and you're not running air, out of all the ones I tested with a dissolved oxygen meter at, that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 a.m., like the latest before the lights will come back on, the pH and the oxygen will go down quite well, not the pH, but the oxygen will go down quite far. And a few of the tanks I was testing, it would actually be in a range that could be causing long-term stress to organs and things like that for the fish. Not, so not the quick turn where they're gasping at the surface, they're going to die, but long-term could be taxing organs more. But no one studies that, because no one goes, well, I'm going to run this 8-year study on this tetra, and then I'm going to change the environment and run another 8-year study, or or run them in parallel. So I haven't seen people doing long enough term studies to actually see that. But yeah, it would be the last thing to go in my aquariums would be oxygen. And I focus on that because there's a lot of other things that he does that I totally agree with, like seasoning an aquarium. I like it. Understocking aquarium. I like it. The way he breeds shrimp with rock piles. I like it. There's a lot of stuff we agree on. And then there's always that, like, yeah, if I have to, if I make a video and it accidentally goes viral and millions of people are going to see it, would I rather say use oxygen or not use oxygen? Or not oxygen, but air. And I think I was like, yeah, I would always recommend air because of all the benefits from it. So even as a visual, I like the visual of air in an aquarium. It's classic and timeless. So I'm no chemist, but I don't see why ammonia couldn't be bonded too. Can't most molecules be bonded somehow? That's what chemical reactions are. I'm not a chemist. I can't speak to that until until I do some more research, I suppose. I can't find it on the Prime website anymore, but CCAM had some language on how they don't know how it works, but that's what's been reported. I'll try and find some time to post on the forum. Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, I that is one of the frustration points with aquatic companies and things like that. There's a lot of just trust us, bro, like language. And that's what invented Corey, basically, of like, I don't trust anything because I did the thing and my fish room science is doing something different than what traditional science tells me should be happening. And so that's why, to a fault, I have to test everything myself because I want to see if what they claim is true or if I'm seeing something different. Regarding the Koi Hikari thing, Hikari does sponsor a lot of shows. I wonder how much that plays a role. Doesn't help with the question, but just an outside observation. Yeah, they do sponsor a lot, but at the same time, uh, at these shows where money is no object, and what I'm saying is like some of the people there are spending $400,000 on a koi and then paying $30,000+ a year to house it in Japan and grow it further before they'll ever bring it stateside if they ever do. And so that lineage of like that koi, money is no object. So if they didn't trust the product, they wouldn't like, yeah, I don't know how to explain the like in certain circles, like the koi circle, there is a money is no object of like they could buy the event. They could walk in and just be like, I'll put the event on. And so there's a lot of trust going into that. And I sell it. I trust it too. I've never had a problem with it either. But I think there's a lot of little mysteries in aquariums that we don't fully understand, for a while. And I don't even know where we're at in the discussion, but for a while it was two different types of bacteria complete the nitrogen cycle. Then it was only one type. I don't know where we're at right now, but my fish room science says, hey, if we can follow a pattern of like plants and taking, 6 weeks to set up an aquarium, we will establish a system that will keep some fish alive. And then fish room science also shows me that the longer a system is set up, if maintained some, and we could have a whole year-long conversation on what's the right amount of maintenance. I don't know. Because doing too much is bad, not doing enough is bad. But it seems that the longer a system runs, the more stable it gets, and the more it can just handle what you throw at it, whether it's meds, parasites, nitrates, rotting leaves, like it doesn't matter. It universally seems that when you meet an aquarium that's like, wow, this thing's running for 17 years, like it's seen it all over the years and it's handled it all, and the bacteria's adapted to all of it. It's done, and so unless you do a big reset, obviously, but and so these things that are quantifiable, but there's not enough meat on the bone to prove, I think, in aquariums. That's the big thing, is like if it affects salmon in a $4 billion industry or $40 billion industry, it makes sense to do $1 million study on it. When we're talking about like random aquarium fish, the industry is just it's not big enough, and there's not enough money on the table to warrant that. And so the good news is a lot of us get to be pioneers, like an L.R. Bretz. I think that what L.R. Bretz does is very important because, right or wrong, he's exploring an avenue, and long term we'll be able to show some results of like, this is what aquariums without filtration, without air, and what is accomplishable by a person. And there's always stuff to learn from that. If you make pizzas and you then, you make really good pizzas and you travel the world learning from other chefs who make their favorite pizza, you're going to pick up little things that you want to incorporate into your pizzas. And you might not agree that this stone oven, the barbecue oven, the pizza oven, the blah, blah, blah oven are all the best, but you can recognize they all work and they're all good tasting pizza. And I think that's the different methods, whether it's an aquascape tank, an African cichlid tank, a community planted tank, an underground filter tank, a deep sand bed tank, a sump tank, any of the things. They've all got the pros and cons. They've all got advantages. They've all got some weaknesses to them. And, so much so that even nature has weaknesses. Like Carl Trochu, a cool live bear breeder, keeps his tanks outside in Florida, and his water's real hard. And so one cool thing is when it rains, water changes happen because the tanks just overflow. When he gets a tropical storm, it's bad because the rainwater is not same pH and hardness as his tap water. And so if it is a tropical storm, he either has to cover them up or he'll have to go change water. Same thing happens at the Florida farms. If a crazy monsoon comes in, they start turning on the water in the ponds so that it doesn't crash pHs and do things like that, which is just a weird thing to think about. I think is that, oftentimes, and I've thought this too, is like nature knows best. And I think it's nature knows a lot. It can solve a lot of things, but there's also things that happen in nature like, ooh, that's not optimal. Chemicals can be added to the chlorinator that will protonate. Well, I don't even know that word. Will protonate the ammonia, meaning it will cause the ammonia to take hydrogen ions, which is just a proton, and become harmless as ion ammonium. Yeah, and that's I could believe that without doing more research. And so, okay, back to the aquarium like company trust me bro part is there's a lot of products out there that just what is the term that the industry likes to use? Proprietary ingredients, where it basically is like somehow is a way to say like, yeah, we're not going to tell you what's in this. And so that's what leaves it a lot up to interpretation of like, well, if I don't know what's in it, how could I know what it's saying it's going to do is done? Other than fish room science of like, I did the thing. Does it look like it's doing it? I guess it looks like it's going to do it. Like I think that I think there is probably a liquid gravel vac out there that works. My brain tells me probably exists. Yet all the ones I've tested, like I tested like I think Fritz's and Seachem's, and the videos are on at least the Seachem one, I think. The videos are on the channel, where we went like 7 or 8 weeks using like a lot, because Seachem at the time, we were buying and selling lots of stuff. So it was early in my career. They would swear up and down that it works. And the rep was just like, I don't understand. So many stores sell so much. You guys should sell so much. And I was like, give me a bunch and I will test it. And he was absolutely convinced, like, oh yeah, 100% it does work. The chemists say it works. I've seen it work, all that. And I don't know if we did like 7 or 8 weeks or whatever we did on the channel, where every week I was dosing it and showing. I couldn't see any visible difference, like at all, at 8 weeks. Now, chemically could have been doing something different? Sure, maybe. But like down here, I know I've got mulm buildup, right? It's kind of why it looks like there's like it's like at an angle. It's because it's got mulm buildup right in the front there. And when I'm buying a product that would be a liquid gravel vac, I would expect it to break that down and get rid of that, because the liquid gravel vac is supposed to replace a physical gravel vac. And if I physically gravel vac that'll be gone in 3 minutes from now. And so if it can't do it at, let's say, 2-month mark, is it working? And there definitely could be like, oh, you got to use it for 7 months or something like that. But that's not what they claimed. Like, I followed the package directions and it was like, you should be seeing results after like 2 or 3 weeks of buildup. And then I started double dosing it to see like, is there somehow not enough? But yeah. The additional salts bind the ammonia for 24 hours, at which point your nitrogen cycle should be able to process it. I think the dechlorinator confusion is just understanding that, yes, dechlorinator only affects chlorine and not ammonia, but then the same bottle probably has chemicals. Yeah, there's a lot of probablys. And from my understanding, that's what I believe is like, yeah, we're going to break the chlorine. and then we're gonna add to it. And so, but as a person trying to educate, and someone say, "Hey, that's not how it works," I want to brush up on it again and go, "Okay, let me see if what I said was known to be true by me. Let me see if what they're saying." Usually, when someone calls me out, there's that both people are right thing. Like I the one I always use an example, and I apologize to that person's in chat right now because it's from like 10 years ago. But I remember someone went real hard on. I had said that algae are basically just the easiest to grow plant, and they were not having it. Algae is a protist, and it is not like that at all. It's a single-celled organism, blah blah. And the reality is, sometimes people, myself included, we forget the audience we're speaking to. And so, like, that discussion totally makes sense if you're at the water plant symposium. If you're at your fourth grade nephew's science class, maybe not a science class, just like you went to the public zoo. It's not the time to break out protest, right? And I think that the entry level live stream here, where people of all backgrounds and knowledge levels come, I try to take it at that fourth grade. Hey, we're at the aquarium. Let me try to break this down in an easy to understand method. Because even I get lost when you start going into like, well, is it like a positive or negative charged ion? It's like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really care. Is it working? Great. That's really all I needed to know. Who's this month's speaker and topic? I don't know off the top of my head. Candy might know. Is it Pam Chin, maybe? No. Did she? Now I got it. I have that problem too, where it's like, my brain now wants to know. Let's see here. Rusty Wessel was 2 weeks ago. I gotta go on the back end and look, I think. Is it not scheduled? Maybe it's not scheduled. Maybe we gotta get it put up. Yeah, Candy thought it was Pam Channel. I thought so too, but I don't know. Maybe, let's see, live now, live replay. I swear. I don't know. We'll look into it. Ads are covering messages. I got 4 already on cell phone. That's very very interesting. Because I went out of my way to click serve no ads on this live stream while it's live, and I haven't clicked the button. And so it's supposed to only be if I click a button, it would be manually. But like I said last time, YouTube is definitely moving towards everything's going to have some ads unless you're paying premium. And I think, I fought it as long as I could for 10 plus years, basically, to keep it where I thought was fair. And now, I actually like this. So, if I'm being truthful, now they're kind of taking some of that ability away from the creator, which just makes my job easier. I don't have to sit there and think like, okay, is this too many? Is this not enough? So it's easier for me. It's not better for you guys, but it's easier for me. And so I think that's just the direction they're going. Whoa. I'm working on adding banthic organisms. I don't even know what that is. That benefit the mold instead of getting rid of it. I just don't know the term banthic. I bet you it's like, oh yeah, it's probably like scuds and blackworms and other things, my guess, but I don't know. Am I planning to visit Nick from Keeping Fish Simple in Brisbane when I'm down under? Nope. I am ultra burned out on traveling. The trip to Brazil was real long. Well, the trip to Brazil, home for like less than 72 hours, then Kentucky event was brutal, and I basically lost the month of June. And so I'm speaking at two different things while I'm in Australia, both weekends. And with flight times, I made it as short as absolutely possible. It's 11 days away from home. Um, and so visiting, and so some people might not know, Australia is huge. Going from where I'll be in Melbourne to Nick is flying from the West Coast to East Coast or vice versa. It's literally on the other coast. So it's an additional 5 to 6 hour flight, at least a hotel, hang out with them for a day, and then fly out. And so at minimum, I'm looking at adding 3 days to 14, which is like, oh, why wouldn't you? And then but that's the thing is, it's never just like, are you going to visit this guy? There's all the other people going, like, once you make an exception, you're like, well, I'll visit this person. Everyone else going, well, you got to visit this and this and this and this too. Because there's invites to like hit up Singapore while I'm out there. There's people asking, like, are you going to make a stop in New Zealand while I'm out there? And all of a sudden it's a 3 to 4 week thing again. And so, and by the way, my wife was supposed to come with me. We were going to do a vacation, but I'm literally like, oh, the travel has been brutal. So she's not coming with me, and I've made it as short as I could get it. I was hoping to make it even shorter, but apparently the way the flights come in and leave Australia from here, uh, because of the time difference and I'm in the air for so long, I think I leave on a Wednesday and I get there on a Friday. And then when I come back, I leave on a Sunday. I'm in the air for like 26 hours and I come back and it's only been an hour or something. Like I get on a plane at noon, I fly for 26 hours and I land the same Sunday at like noon again. So I hope you have business class tickets. I do. That was actually one of my stipulations. Because I was like, I already had a lot of travel planned for this year, and they really wanted me, and I was like, all right, if you buy a first class ticket or a business ticket, I'll try and do it. And so they are, and so it's like, oh, okay, well now I got to do it. And so I'm looking forward to having a bunch of fun, but I know what it does. Like I'm way behind on my pond, kind of how I would prefer to be right now. And so I'm trying to enjoy my summer. I definitely committed, and I told Zenzo and other people in my company I'm not traveling. I'm traveling very little next year, especially during the summer. I want to enjoy my own backyard for once. So I once left Tokyo at 10:30 and landed in Dallas at 8:30 a.m. the same day. I officially became a time traveler. One time, I think Katie and I were on the same flight, or I can't remember if it was my wife and I or it was just me, but I think it was either China or Japan. I had my birthday 3 times one year because of the way that I was flying on my birthday to get home. And I remember with the time zones, I probably aged 3 years on that flight. That's probably why I look so old now, even though I'm 42 or 43. My wife will tell you, I can never remember. Magic Small Fish Feed's been a game changer for the redhead Tapajos babies. I bet. Yeah. Ooh, James Holbrook with the $10 sticker. I need to find those. They're probably on my old live stream setup. The Deal With It glasses. I love those things. You can't see through them, but I love them. They're hilarious. I want to catch. Wait, you want to catch them this month? To have an old school stream? I'm out of that. Whatever that topic is, I'm out. Don't know what it's about. I did get some new fish yesterday, and I'm quite excited. A fan emailed customer service, and it got to me, and I now have gold form Henrietta Formosa, and I am very excited. And I don't think I'm going to let them go for a real long time. I'm hoping never, but I don't want to say never because at the end of the day I get rid of them like, you said never. But I've had them before, and each time I keep them for like a couple years, and then I seem to get rid of them when I move, and I don't ever plan on moving again. Hopefully, cross my fingers. But it's like, okay, yeah, I guess we'll bring them to the store. We'll get some people buying them. Hopefully, they'll breed them. I'll get them back when I get the fish room set back up. And each time that has not happened. So I'm gonna do a whole video, I think, and you guys will be you'll be around for the clickbait. Well, it's not clickbait, it's true, but I think the title is gonna be like world's smallest live bear. And I'll talk about the normal form and then the gold form that I have now again, which is awesome. And it's a great fish. I wish, well, the grayish form, I can understand it blends into plants too much, but the gold form stands out against the plant background. And so I'm hoping that they'll kind of take off because they're a very easy live bear to play with and they're great nano fish. So I'm hoping to get that going as I don't know if trend is the right word, but what I'm trying to do is it took years for me to find them again, and I think it's a great fish, and I think some other people fall in love with it, and I don't want them to have to go like, oh, it took me years. I want it to be like, oh yeah, it cost me $100 and I got some, which shipping's getting ridiculous, by the way. Um, the cookies that got sent to me, thank you very much. I don't know if the person wants to be named or not, but they spent $31 in shipping to send cookies. Oof, those are some expensive cookies, but they are delicious. And then the fish express was $111. And so you gotta want the fish, which I definitely did. So but he sent them in Gatorade bottles, which is awesome. Worked out perfect. They got delayed, so I think he sent them on a Tuesday. It was either Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember. They didn't get here till yesterday, which was Saturday. Not a single loss, which is awesome. And they were I'm so stoked on them. Love it. Isn't Neohedrina elegans smaller? I don't. I'd have to get calipers out to actually confirm that. They're very close. I think the males are smaller though. I think the female Hedrina formosa get get larger, but I'm pretty sure the males are smaller. My wife's saying I'm 57 because she made a comment. Whoa. So we went to the zoo yesterday, the adults only zoo day, which was awesome, by the way. Way less people. And so, yeah, anyway, she was commenting, my wife's commenting, like, I love how, my hair is getting more white. She's like, you're getting more Santa-like. I love it. And I said, like, oh, I got to do this new troll. I'm going to start, every time I meet someone, I'm going to tell them I'm 57. And they're going to be like, you look so good for being 57. Instead of telling people I'm like 42 or 43. And they're like, oh, man, that guy's seen some stuff. If I just go the opposite and be like, yeah, I'm 74. Really? You look great. Let's see. I think males are about the same, but the tiger teddy females stay smaller. Yeah, the tiger teddy, the elegans the female do stay smaller. And I think that's the YouTube game, right? Is like, it's very close. I think it's a factual statement. Like, the nerds will know, like, well, technically, maybe tiger teddies are equal or maybe a touch smaller. But the goal is to pull in the masses, the person that has no idea any of those species exist, and to show them a super little one. Uh, Instead, I could, like, at least I'm not calling them the least killifish, which is one of their common names, but not a killifish at all. So, but what I'm trying to think of is, how do you get the general public excited about a little live bear? Because if it's not a super colorful guppy or a molly or something like that, the average person, meh, mm, mm. And so people do love small little cute things though. And so, and I really like the fish. I think it is worthy of people keeping in a environment where you have guppies and all the colorful things. I think they are. Uh, yeah, just put a question mark. World's smallest live bear. Yeah. Show them tiger teddies instead? No way. So that fish, in my opinion, not enough people have success with. So if you watch Aquabid, they have small litters. You rarely meet people, in my opinion, Of all the fish rooms I've visited over the last 20 years, I don't think I've ever visited a fish room where you're like, wow, you have hundreds of those. Awesome. It's always been the same story, whether it's I'm keeping it, Dean's keeping it, some library nerd's keeping it, of like, yeah, I love these things, but I wish I had more. Like, I make some, I sell some pairs and stuff, but they're not super prolific. And I don't know if it's a case of just we've all got it wrong, if they're all coming from one original collection, if it's just a fish that doesn't do that. But the Heterana formosa, you can get these giant colonies going, and they're prolific, and they can stay cheap. Where tiger teddies, I feel like they're always 50, 60, 70 bucks a pair plus shipping. So, and I do like that fish, but when you look up a tiger teddy, you're going to see a great picture of it probably. And then you're going to keep it in person and you're like, oh, yeah, I can almost see it. That orange around the little dot. Oh, that looks great. I love it. And so every time, like, I want to breed them because I do think they're cool fish, but that's a fish I think is only cool for me on a little desktop aquarium where I'm real close to it, and not a great 40 breeder or 10 gallon or like rack setup or fish room fish. Doesn't mean it's not a good fish, it's just not my favorite. I much prefer the Heterana formosa. Fish tank barns never had long-term success with them either. Another library I haven't, and I'm hoping I will, the Picta guppy. So I've got some Picta guppies, the red ones, sometimes sold as a swamp guppy. They're doing well over here, and I haven't made any fry yet, but they're living long, and they were not locally bred, but hobbyist bred, so I've got a chance, I think. What's a good filament dryer? I've made it to the level of 3D printing. I think I like the ones made by EBO. I think if you like, I think it's on here in the description and stuff. I think it's on my Amazon lists where I put stuff that I use, so it's easier for customer service to find and fans to find. We actually build custom enclosures to use 5 kilogram rolls. And there must be some pictures on the forum too of our setups. But yeah, that's the ones we use and have adapted for. Continue libraries live with other fish. I'm kind of trying to only get community fish these days, and a lot of my fish are nippy. My guppies are like a little full mosh pit now. Yes. Like, I've got Heterana formosa. What am I living with right now? Where are they at? They're right there. My Heterana formosa are living with swordtails, and they're kicking out some babies, and a spotted Congo puffer. But like everything, start with a dedicated tank, make a bunch, then try it. So like, I recommend that with shrimp and other things. Like, oh man, I've got 80 of these. Then take 6 of them and go, I'm gonna put you over here. Let's see how you do for a few months. And then you're not super sad, because there's nothing worse at the store or just hearing about it. People come, they buy fish and they put it in their tank and like they got eaten or the thing happened. And it's like, yeah, well, you before, like a good example is you've got shrimp living with that betta in that tank in the store. Like, yes, but I recommend buying some cherry shrimps, go ahead and breed them, then see if your betta has a taste for shrimps. And if it does, oh darn, you lost 6 of the 50 more you made. Where if you spent, $50 on shrimp and it eats them tonight, and you're like, that was a $50 meal for my betta, you feel real bad. So my advice is always like, get a colony going, then try these things where you're like, I wonder. Yes, JMC 3D would be a great one to consult, but I think he's only using the EBOs like we do. The printed CCAM title attachment is the best fish-related item I've ever bought. Maybe like that filter. So the problem with that attachment specifically, the way the CCAM title is designed, it's a real weird design. And so you have to you need a super tight fit so you get good suction with minimal leakage. from a 3D printed part to a non 3D printed part, basically. And it doesn't want to be put and take off a bunch. You can snap a little tab. We've tried a million different versions, and like it works great. It's kind of one of those like put it on, set it, forget it. It'll work a really long time and be great. But we have had ones that snap when they're going on for the first time. We've tried, so we can make it so beefy, but then people like can't get it on. Like you almost got to like beat it on with a rubber mallet, so that doesn't work. But yes, it does solve quite a few problems. Speaking of which, Steamfod Aquatics was just asking me a few days ago. I told him to give me the size. I'll send some out to try them because he was having problems with duckweed and other things getting caught in the grates and then causing lots of sound in his fish room. And I said, I think this will help you because he was asking about them. So I told him, give me the size. I'll send him some. We'll see. Let's see here. Yes, I was talking and I forgot. But thank you to Paul Martin for 10 memberships, and congrats to those people who got them. Hey Corey, hope is all is well. Is there Brazil footage and how? Wait, and or member merch for non-members on the horizon? There is Brazil footage. Corey's just got to stop being lazy / catch up and put a video together or live stream or something. And not and merch for non-US members on the horizon. No. Like I'm not gonna say never, but the reality is like it's way down the list. There might be, I think you can still order stuff on Teespring. Teespring Aquarium Co-op. Like you can get the, let's see. Is this it? Let's see if I can find the link for you guys. Because they'll ship internationally. Yeah, so there's, let's see, is there the Corridora one? Yeah. So there's the old school cooperatives on there. Let's see if I can get some of this. These are featured products, but shouldn't there be the mug and stuff too? Maybe they discontinued that mug. Homeware, maybe? No, that's a towel. Those are cases. Apparently, yeah, you can use code NERM for 25% off your order. And let me find where I can put that in the chat. My chat's broken over there. I got to sign in to do it here. Let's see here. I got to open in a web browser. Hopefully it doesn't crash everything. Close. All right. There's the thing. So you can get like some merch in a weird roundabout way through Teespring. And even some stuff where like there would be people right now in the US like, I've never seen that shirt before. Like the Corridora with the cooperatives was a concept from like probably like 8 years ago now. We probably still have one in our closet though, because my wife will wear one every once in a while. I'm a proud CChem title hater. Me too. I come from the experience of I bought 40 of those things, and my entire staff was like, why do we use the worst thing ever? Can we just get aqua clears? And it's like, yeah, but if these didn't suck, we could sell them and maybe even make a profit. And so much so that even with the crazy discounts and all the things they want to do for us, we're still like, nah, I can't do this. That being said, I think with the intake, they're pretty decent. And I still like aqua clears the best, but for some reason I got a love-hate relationship. You know, people either love them or they hate them. There's rarely in between on those. Yeah, I had seen several Brazil footage live streams playing, but disappeared as soon as something came up. Yeah, so really what happens with that is I've got, 2 or 3 weeks of footage. And there's lots of clips where it's like that clip is 4 minutes long, but there's 22 seconds of like, that's actually cool. And so I need to edit that down so that when I present it, it's not just like, okay, let's watch this for an hour. Like here, let me I'm going to grab a random clip and maybe I'll be able to give you guys an example of what that would be like. And so what it means is it's a whole day of me looking at footage, which is fun, but then also editing it down. And that's just like, okay, now this stuff is usable. Then if I was to put a video together, it would be actually making like, okay, well, how does this go together? But let me just grab something that's like a couple minutes long and I'll, yeah, like I don't know what this clip is. So we're gonna send this clip and we're gonna see if I can get it live here for you guys. I'm airdropping it to my computer right now. Technology. Which, by the way, I just learned this trick and I'm totally going to try it and totally makes sense. But I didn't know it till like a couple weeks ago. So maybe this is going to blow a bunch of people's minds. If you have iPhone and like a MacBook or whatever, you can airdrop, right? But apparently, because I run into this problem, if you try to move like 500 gigs worth of video, it doesn't handle that so well. But if you just plug your phone in and then hit the airdrop, I thought airdrop was only like Bluetooth through the air, but turns out it just goes way faster if you hook it up through USB cable. So I'm totally going to try that next. All right, now I got to add this resource. Let me add a media file to the live stream. So the other part is once I get all these clips, I'd have to do this for each one. And we're going to call this Brazil. So I got to add each clip, or I got to do like a whole different thing, which we're going to browse for local file. We're going to grab this one. Hopefully it'll play it. All right. I assume you guys are seeing that. Let's mute it. So this is like a 2-minute clip of me filming underwater. And so you can see I'm following this one Corridora. Look at the substrate, by the way, not just sand. There are sandy parts. There is algae, but I do want to do a whole thing about Corridoras and all the substrates I've seen them on and all the places, and it's not always just sand. Yeah, I met up with the big school. Now the big school's on the move. Yeah, so like now it's like, oh, why didn't you just start there? Like, yeah, exactly. Like this is probably the part of the clip I'd want to show. But then there's context of like, you see, he was on rockier stuff and they do exist there. So, you know, you got to think like, okay, I don't want to get rid of everything, but at the same time. And then it's like, do I want to talk about the plants in this clip? What are those other fish? Yeah, aerial column plants down there. And then like this hasn't been graded either. So or fixed up. I can make the footage look a little better, get rid of some of the orangey brown by changing the color profile, because the camera will change quite a bit depending on what I'm focusing on. There's a billion little piranhas that were around me, and I was like, oh man, I gotta film that now that I'm losing track of the Corridoras. And then you're like, oh man, look at this plant oasis. You know, that's like a whole different thing to talk about. So yeah, that clip, that's just one of like hundreds of clips that I've made. So that's why I kept going, okay, I got to kick the can down the road. And then I decided, you know what? This is so much work to do in a live stream. Like I need to stop saying, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. Cause something comes up and then I don't do it. And I'm sure the viewers are just like, this guy is such a fool. So I got to dive in and just really get on all that footage. Yeah, I enjoy watching you rewatching the clips. Yeah, that was part of my intention was, yeah, I could do something like that. And honestly, I just got to figure it out. Yeah. We're also working on a Brazil like jersey thing, which would be cool. At least I'm pretty excited for it. Love the videos you made with Chris Lukup. Such a great person. Met him several times in the Netherlands. He's a good dude. I've come to a realization that he's going to go on more expeditions than I am. I was always saying like, let me know, I'll be there. And now I've realized, being the CEO or the owner or whatever you want to call me, Presidente, final boss of Aquarium Co-op, I've just got so much obligation to you guys and my employees that being out in the wilderness for that long, I fall so far behind. Like I'm still behind in like the video that came out Friday, I filmed on like Monday, and when everything's going right, I like to be like, oh yeah, I'm a month or 6 weeks in advance. Like I'm working on the products, I'm doing all the things. And now it's that like, oh gosh, I gotta catch up, I gotta catch up, I gotta catch up. And so yeah, so I'm probably I'm gonna try to limit like, okay, what's the one trip a year or whatever that I'm gonna do. And it might not be a trip next year because well, I don't know, there's so many things I want to do though. Like I don't want to spoil it, but I'm like, oh, there's that one in January I want to do, and then there's that other one I want to do, and then there's that. I did get invited over there. That's how this always starts. Every year I start going, well, I could do like one. And then I go, well, yeah, like 6 months later, I could do this other thing. And then I backfill it, and then pretty soon I'm like, what have I done to myself? So I need to fight it. I need to fight it. Let's see here. Maybe I'll queue up another clip while we're live streaming. Let's see. I've been watching your stuff for years. One of the first people I learned from when I was starting. Nice. Well, at least maybe I did my job because you're still in the hobby. That's my main goal there. So let's find something else that's completely different, just to give you guys a little snapshot. I'll just scroll up by a bunch and grab a different crazy, well, not crazy clip, but a different clip. Here's one that's almost 2 minutes long. Oh wait, I want this one. Let's do this one. Airdrop it there. I'll do like 2 more because I see this other one I want to see too. Chris could be the Aquarium Co-op expedition correspondent. That's true, but he's already that for like Dennerley at the moment. But yes, that's like a news anchor show. I like that. I like that idea or the concept of that, of like tuning in from wherever. Let's see. I want to find this other area just to show how different some of these areas can be. Here's a clip I'll show. Different area. Give you some of the goods. All right, we got 2 clips. I'll line one of them up, and we'll do one by one here. Let's see. My wife's getting ready to drop off food at the food pantry, and then she's doing grocery shopping. And I'm to know that there's some pizza that we brought home from the zoo, and part of my leftover sandwich in the fridge while she's gone. Perfect. All set. All right. 5 donated memberships from Fish Tank Barn. Thanks, buddy. All right, let me queue up one of these clips. Add a source. Add a new source. Add a new source. Find it. And we'll do this one. All right, here it goes. I'm going to mute it so that way it doesn't. So this is a different area I was in. You can see the big fish way in the back there. All these smaller tetras swimming around me. More like silver dollar / piranha things around me as always. Some geophagus down in the bottom left, so the earth eaters. Lots and lots of leaf litter, lots of algae, lots of sand. So where you see the like ripples, that's where the sunlight is. And then as you see where the ripples disappear, that might be where tree cover is or something like that. So it's actually better to film in those spots. If this clip is correct, I remember around the back there's a giant wolffish. Well, not giant, but like a big wolffish. I wonder if in this clip I swim over and find it or not. But yeah, it's actually pretty fun to watch this because so often I'll be focused on a fish I'm filming, and then I see, like when I was editing the angelfish stuff, I was like, oh man, there was angelfish around me and I couldn't see them. I was so focused on something else. Yeah, now you're seeing the fish shadows. So like the sunlight comes down and it'll draw your eye going, oh, is that an oscinklus down there? Like, no, it's a fish shadow. Yeah. There's a family of cichlids. I don't know what type those are. There's someone you'll know. Oh, there's one of the wolffish. Finally, takes me that long to even see it. Now it sees us. They're They're very curious. They will look right at you, and it's a little unnerving when you get to see their teeth, and you know, like they're not scared of me. I think there's even a bigger one around here because I remember there being like, "Oh man, that guy's real chunky." Yeah, so that was that clip, and I probably wanted to start a new clip, so there's probably more. My wife just said that clip's insane. Holy moly! Yeah. So my wife doesn't even seen this stuff yet. In theory, I was gonna put. In theory, if I did my job right, I was gonna put a presentation together for my little cookie club group and be like, "Look, I went to Brazil," and then I would do like a family one. Um, which my family not nearly as much into fish, but they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, that's a capybara, and there's a thing, and that's what you ate, and that's what you did, and here's what you this," right? Um, and then I would also be doing the YouTube videos for you guys and maybe a live stream. And so it's one of those, like, I need to spend a whole week basically working on Brazil, and I just haven't yet. Even though, yeah, I think you guys agree, like, oh, this is crazy good. Like, yeah, it is. And it's uh, it's just a lot because there's hundreds and hundreds of clips. All right, here's another one. And I am pulling out this one. I think this one's one of the highlights. So, um, you know, mute that so you don't have to hear underwater. So do you see what we're looking at right now? Eagle Eye Corey spotted this. So I spotted this while this river is very fast flowing, by the way. I brought Chris Luke up over. I'm like, hey, you got to poke it. I need you to poke it. So yeah, a nice stingray there, Leopoldi. And then here's the other trick. Like now we try and chase it to get it more on camera. And we spent like a good 30 minutes in different clips and trying to, can we, because there's stuff in the way. Like here, I'm trying to get over the branches. Like I got to get to the fish, must film fish, must get there before it gets away. No. Because we're in dense, thicket or whatever. I don't know, thicket. I don't know what you call it, but, trying to, no, it swims faster than I do. I got to get over there. And so right now I'm like holding the camera. I'm like, how am I going to get over there? Okay, I got to go around this thing. Let's go back around the other way. You couldn't see me. I was making all these gestures on behind the thing, but yeah, so that was a 1 minute clip. And we followed that guy up and down the river a decent amount. So see if I got any other little clips to toss out there while I'm in things. Anyone got any questions? Oh, I found a bristle nose. So some of this footage blows my mind. So I'm going to show you this clip once I get it loaded up. Takes a little bit here. This is what I want you to think about. This is my phone underwater, and I can't believe how clear the water is. I can't believe the fish stayed there for me. The lighting, all of it comes together going, this is insane that in 2026, my phone is underwater capturing this. Let me add a source. And so in theory, I'd have all this done before I would live stream, so that way it's just clip after clip, and you wouldn't have to sit here while I do this. But yeah, I can't believe that this is just cell phone underwater, wild bristlenose. Oh, you're getting blasted with sound. Sorry. I would have pre-muted all those in a traditional one I would set up. Yeah. How did I feel about going into the water? I'd love to, but I'm terrified of being in the water, even the UK has scary sticklebacks. Yeah, I think I'm fairly brave or fearless or whatever to a detriment. And if you sit there and you think about it logically, like this is should not be doing this. But once I get into the mode where I'm like chasing fish, like those corridors or stingray, I could walk straight into the mouth of an alligator. I would follow that corridor straight into the stomach. Like I have my fish blinders on to my own detriment. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this, it's insane. And yeah, so here I'll play you guys the commercial. So we filmed a couple commercials while we were in Brazil, because I want to be able to I wanted to be able to say, our fish foods are even approved by Wild Fish. So not only will like aquarium fish love these foods, but fish that have never seen even fish foods love these foods. And so let's add this, add a source. So now you can really watch an ad. So maybe the ad will interrupt my own ad that I made. I don't have any vocals around it or anything. It's still just the raw video we shot. And so hopefully it's not terrible. Let's see here. Boom. Close. So this is a community pellets. That's Randy feeding. And then this is the unassuming, like, oh, we're going to go underwater. I wonder what's under there. Oh my gosh. And again, this is my cell phone. I'm just so blown away. Like, yeah, it's hunting focus a little bit, but I am blown away at the quality that an iPhone with a housing can do underwater now. You can see all those like nymphea, so all the like lotus plants and stuff in the background, nice white sand. So yeah, crushing community pellet. And so now when I do a little thing on the website, it's like, now I can say, at least the Magic Small Fish Feed and the community pellet have been tested on wild Brazilian fish. All right. Corey eaten by a gator following another Corey. Yeah, a Corridora can lead me straight into danger. Corey following a Corey. How are the bugs? Yeah, so this place, or these, we went all over this time, and so the pH is low enough, there's no mosquitoes and things, but that there's some that the bugs were real bad, and there was like a lot of bug bites, and you just deal with it. The good news is when you're underwater, you don't even feel it anymore, but like my back was real beat up, because you'll be snorkeling, right? So your head's down, and you're focused on the corridors or whatever, and you're floating, and these like big horsefly things will just bite through your shirt and everything, and it's like, oh. So but you're trying not to thrash, right? So like with the corridors and some of the things that are real spooky, like you make a movement and they're gone, you just have to sit there and let them bite you as you're going, and you're like trying to, like, maybe I get in the water, get off me, while you're trying to hold the camera steady like this. And so, but not the whole time is like that, but there's definitely, and the fly might harass you for like 20 minutes, and then it'll move on to the next victim after it gets tired of being dunked into the water. So yeah, but they can, for the most part, not so bad though. I guess, well, that's not true. It's horrible, but it's offset by how cool and how much fun you're having. So that's probably the correct description. Like, yeah, it's an insane amount of bug bites. Like, when I get home, my wife is like, oh man, like your legs, like look at your arms, look at your back. And I'm like, yeah. At one point we had gone way off the path or whatever, and we were trying to get to this waters to see it, and it was like a cliff. So we were hiking down it, and it was like gravelly, and I just slid. And so like 1 foot slipped and my knee went down, and it tore my pants open. I was bleeding. And so that was, it was fine, but also at the same time scary, because we were pretty far down. And I remember just like going, everyone was like, are you all right? And then there was like this silent pause of like, is your knee okay? Is your ankle okay? Like, it set in everybody's mind instantly, like, wait, if we got to hobble Corey back up there, like we're real far away from a car, like, and this is like real steep climbing, type of thing. So luckily it was fine. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm actually good. Like, it looks worse than it is. It's good. So yeah. Aquarium Co-op Brazil trip sponsored literally by flu ball bug bites. I doubt it. Flu ball. I don't think flu ball's too big of fans of the Aquarium Co-op. Hashtag flu ball be tripping. That being said, I don't know that for a fact. Maybe they are big fans. But even still, I wouldn't want to be sponsored by another company because I don't want to be beholden to it of like, make sure you do the commercial, make sure you wear the shirt, make sure you do the thing. When we're in Brazil, it's very much whatever goes. Like, the minute I land in Peru, Brazil, wherever, it's like, look, I'm here for a couple weeks. Like Chris missed his missed a flight. So he like lost 4 hours. Like, we just had to wait for him. He got the next flight. He had to like go across town, hop on a different airport, and get to us. And like, that's just what happens. Like, oh yeah, all right, yeah, we'll pivot. And so bringing someone else is like, hey, you got to do a thing, I think would ruin a trip for me. Like, how about we just do the thing, whatever we want to do each day. I still think the video of swimming with the pikes was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. That was a very cool moment. Yeah, I don't know that I'll top that probably, because it was just the right lighting and those fish were so colorful and they were so cool. Inspired to get more tanks set up for corridoras? I was, and so I do have more. I don't know if I've shown you guys, but I've got some Julii false corridoras or some Trileniatus or whatever. I got some Did I get? Yeah, I think I got Habrosus, Hastatus, Aspiodorus. Did I say 4? Yeah, I got 4 different species in from Small World Aquatics. Oh, I missed the pun. Oh. Yeah. Chris's filming style is way different than mine. He focuses on the edge of the water, and so like that thing you saw in the stingray video, I gave him one of those. I have one here. Do I have a selfie stick? No, but a lot of small fish, especially the nanofish he likes to focus on, are right at the water surface where bigger fish can't get to them in the plants. And so he's up on land just getting destroyed by bugs. Where I like to get down in the water as much as I can to basically have just my shoulders and like the back of my head out of the water. And so yeah, kind of 2 different styles, which like I found quite a few fish. Each trip I'm looking for more and more stuff I haven't seen. So I got to see like whiptail catfish. I filmed way more corridoras than needed because they never were in the shallow parts. Although I will say, he did get some way better corridor shots than I did. The one place I couldn't seem to get him to do what I want to do, and because they're so skittish, he with like the 6-foot pole, he could get close enough to the corridors. He got some amazing footage. So, yeah. Do I have any plans I want to do in the near future? In the near future, I want to do nothing. Yeah, I've been focusing on, like, business wise. I'm trying to learn to become a CEO. if that, I mean, that's probably how to say it. Because right now, like, a great example of this, and it's not to call anybody out, so I want to preface that because they're doing exactly what I've told them to do or whatever. But like the retail store problem where it looks like the store might be kind of closed in front of us right now. We're supposed to be open, and the power washing and all that. That's like a real time problem that needs to be handled by people in my company. Where, as the CEO, I need to be focused on things that are like, what's 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road that I can start hiring people for, doing the thing, getting the foundation, and working our way towards there. And so even just this week, I've been working on offloading repeating tasks that, basically the question is, do I have to do this? Can anyone else be doing this? And if the answer is someone else could be doing it, I need to have them do it because there are things that in our company that only I can do. So basically, only I can live stream, only I can really make the videos. And it's not that you guys won't watch Randy or Zenzo, good dudes, good content. But for the most part, we can see in aggregate, me in front of the camera just does better. Product development, I play a big hand in that. Things like tariffs changed this week, right? And so Everything, as far as I know, everything we're ordering is 2.5% more expensive than it was a week ago. And we've got stuff that is in production right now. So, like, what does that do? We should be looking at pricing. Does it still make sense to bring in? Will it still be the price point people want to pay? Um, I'm going up to April's Aquarium, so little secret squirrel thing. I can't guarantee I have a bunch of time, but I'm supposed to be up there on the 12th, and so I'm gonna try and help their business and talk about what more can we do in Canada and that kind of stuff. So I'm doing a day trip up there. So that's a thing that, like, it's not that nobody else could do, but very few people in the company could go meet in Canada and talk strategy and figure out, like, okay, what are we gonna do? And especially when it's, stuff that is here in Washington. I'm the only person in kind of the senior management in Washington, so I can drive straight up to Vancouver. And so I've been kind of focusing on how do I get more things that I wouldn't have to do off my plate. And so an example of the stuff that I was doing, like, I don't want to make the thumbnails for Deep in the Mullen podcast anymore. Like, anybody could do that. So Zenda's going to do them now. Really easy. Great. Off my plate. Don't have to do that on Tuesdays anymore. I just have to do the podcast. The More Aquarium Co-op channel. If you guys don't know, we have the More Aquarium Co-op channel where we've been putting out videos. And I was doing the thumbnails and the titles and the things and all that. And I said, hey, why don't you guys do that? I don't need to, like, that's not something I have to do. Where I kind of feel like I do have to do it on our channel, like the main channel here, but I don't have to do it on the other channel. And so just trying to spread more of that out so that I can focus on things. And already I've seen the difference in, we started spinning up a couple new products that I'm working on. I ordered parts. And so once I started freeing up a little bit of that time, oh, it turns out I do have time to work on these again. That's great. So am I doing a small meet and greet? No official small meet and greet, because that's gonna make me sound like I'm full of myself, but it probably wouldn't be a little small thing. And what I mean by that is, like, yeah, there might only be 5 people, but I love to talk, and I don't like anybody to feel left out. And so oftentimes a little meeting someone turns into, like, that was like 2 hours, and we already jam packed those days. So I drive up in the morning, I get there and I don't leave till like 9 p.m. at night, and we've got agendas set on what to talk about, what to discuss. We might be negotiating prices and other things, and but I am walking around. I gotta walk around, like, oh, I gotta go use the restroom. We're going to lunch. We're doing a thing, and if I see you, of course I'll talk and give you 5-10 minutes and just be like, oh, sweet, glad to meet you. But as far as a whole, like, this Wednesday at noon, it's a meet and greet, nothing. But in some of that, we might plan another event up there. So that's on the agenda too, of like, hey, maybe we'll do another event. I want to support the Canadian hobby and, Aquarium Co-op and April's Aquarium partnership and all that. And I could, I live close enough that I could do a drive. So let's see here. Yes, Darren at April's Aquariums is such a great guy. He sent 2 posters that he and Chris worked on for the nanofish and shrimp in a store. I have to double check, but I think I'm pretty sure Chris did this because he's the nice guy in the plant. But I'm pretty sure the betta that's on that poster, I think I took that picture. I'm pretty sure. I got to double check in my own, like, look back at it, but it's not quite as good, I think, as Chris's picture. That's how I knew. I was like, wait, I think I took that picture, and I could see Chris is too nice, and he's like, oh, that'll make Corey happy. I'll put that here. And he's right. It probably did make me happy, or it did make me happy. So, let's see here. Sometimes I don't need $99 worth of stuff, so I don't want to order from April's. Sure. There's always 2 sides to that coin. Like, I don't want to pay shipping. I don't want to pay to ship it to somebody either. So, yeah, it's always hard. Like, oh, I just need one little thing. It's like no one likes to go. Like, my wife will probably be half the reason she's going to the store, probably like fresh lunch meat and avocados. No one wants to go to the store that often, but if you want good avocados and lunch meat, you got to go fairly regularly. Can't buy in jumbo. Co-op green Lambo. Nope. I drive an electric Toyota, which, boy, don't get me started on that. I have fallen in love with electric vehicles, and I cannot. I don't think I can go back to gas powered. Well, it's not that I can't. I don't want to go back to gas powered. I haven't been to a gas station since Brazil, and outside of Brazil, I haven't been to one in like this year, basically. And I love getting that. I love getting that time back. Will I see you at the GSAS convention in October? Undecided. I go back and forth. We're sponsoring it, so we put quite a bit of money and other stuff into it. And we've been sending out notifications and all that. If I do, it's going to be Saturday. But so this is part of that. How do you get yourself in this situation, Corey? I fly out 3 days later for that Australia trip. So how do you get involved in this, Corey? Like, well, when I said okay to the Australia trip, the catfish convention didn't exist on paper, and they picked that weekend. And it happens to be in our backyard. And then like, oh, how did Kentucky happen? Same problem. Happened to be where our warehouse was. And so, it's one of those like, oh, how do we say no? Like next year it won't be in our backyard. I guess we have to say yes. I guess we're going to be a part of it. And so it's that same thing. So maybe, maybe not. So where I go back and forth, do I want to be with people? Sure, I want to be with people, but the odds of me catching a cold or something while shaking hands and meeting a bunch of people at the convention is moderate risk there. And then to be like, now I'm going to get on a plane and fly to Australia, and the odds of me catching them on the plane, like moderate risk. And so then there's like, yeah, but you land on Friday and you're speaking on the first time. I think it's Sunday. Yeah, I don't want to be sick while speaking. So it's like, do I just like we're supporting the event, but do I go? Like, I don't know. I haven't 100% decided if I'll be there or not be there yet. So James Holbrook coming with 5 more memberships. Hitting us hard today. Thanks, buddy. Can I just go as a regular guy? No. I mean, short of me like actually putting a costume on, I think the answer is no. Like I was at the zoo yesterday, and when we were getting food, one of the workers there was like, "Are you Corey from Aquarium Co-op?" And I was like, "Heck yeah!" So shout out to that guy. I guess your coworkers and stuff. His name was Tejan, so it was nice meeting. I didn't have any of the co-op coins though, so that was a bit of a bummer. But yeah, especially at an event, like the problem is it's not the fans, by the way. It's always like the business part. It's like, oh, okay, and you try to like, this is not really the time or the place. And then they're like, yeah, but I emailed you customer service, and they, like, it's not really working. And so then I have to like politely be like, yeah, it's because I don't really want to sell your product, or it doesn't make sense, or we're, sometimes I have to be like, we're already developing something like that. Like, now I'm having to tell them like, I'm basically going to be your competitor on this thing. So yeah. I'll take your place for the Australia trip. Would love to meet a few YouTubers and see some wild rainbows. Yeah. I tried to just say hi and play last for a photo when I met you and Zenzo at the Clash. Didn't want to make it feel like a bother. Y'all look so busy. Yeah, it's not a bother. Like, it's maybe it's overwhelming. There's maybe I should do a video on that sometime. I need like an undercover camera thing and have one of the guys do it, because I only made it halfway around the convention room before I had to go. I was there for like 5 hours and I only made it like halfway and didn't even get to see the other side, because it's just conversations and looking at stuff and fans, and it goes by so fast. And I was like, oh wow, it's been that, like, yeah, we have to go get ready at the warehouse. Like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going. Sorry. So yeah. what also wondering, did Katie tell your favorite cookie? She agreed there was probably ginger snaps. And then I asked her what the other cookie would have been, and I don't think she gave me an answer. Yeah. Because I asked when I went back in, I was like, am I in the doghouse? She's like, no, you're right. And I'm like, okay, phew. Will I be making a video on how the pond's coming along? I'm thinking about it for sure. Yeah, so I Do I have pictures? Kind of. I'm trying to build. Was it yesterday? No, not yesterday. Friday, I tried to build a air curtain, so 100-foot long bubble wall for the pond. And concept works. I need more weight, so I used weighted. I used weighted airline, and then I zip tied soaker hose to it. Concept works. It needs to be heavier. Ah, Lorianne reminded me. Have you tried the Costco marshmallow cookies? No, but you reminded me of the cookie she did say is probably her favorite. She likes they're the worst cookies to me. They're like cake cookies with like the super thick icing. They I I won't eat them. And she like every 3 to 6 months has to buy like a package of them. Like it's always got to be like they're the Christmas ones or they're the pink frosted ones. Like ugh. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a nostalgia thing. I can't imagine anyone actually likes those cookies, but she loves them. We do have a friend that makes some amazing ones, and I will eat those ones. Are there any tropical microfish smaller than an inch that you can be happy in the low 60s despite conventional advice? Heteroandra formosa. Yeah. Wicked small. Live year round in Florida. Go subtropical. Yeah. Crumble cookies? Ain't nobody got money for crumble cookies. It's like $4 to $5 a cookie. And they're too big. And it's too much. Like those cookies are like a meal. Even shared by two people, you eat it, you're just like, I think I'm breaking a sweat eating this cookie. Like this is rough. To be fair, I've only had crumble cookie, I think, 2 or 3 times in my life. Haven't met a cookie I don't like? That's not true. Not a big fan of raisins. It's hard. It's kind of like dogs. I love all dogs except for the ones probably bite my face. So I love all cookies except for the ones that aren't good. Would I recommend a Jack Dempsey and either a convict or a gold Somm and a 55? No, I wouldn't. I would just go with if you want a Jack Dempsey, keep it and like maybe some silver dollar or something. Keep it as the only cichlid and have it be like a specimen. It'll look amazing. Or do a convict. It will also look amazing. You so rarely get to see them looking great with the long trailers on the fins and everything because they're always kept with other fish. They're always squabbling, doing their thing, and you don't get that specimen. It's a crusty old dog lady thing you wouldn't understand. Leave our loft house cookies alone. You're probably right. I don't understand that cookie game. You're right. It's hot, as you know, what it's down there in Florida. I live in Southwest Florida. I know people say it all the time, but it's so humid. Yeah, I had a picture when I left Kentucky. I was there at the airport at 3 o'clock in the morning or 3:30 in the morning, and it hadn't rained, but the windows on the outside, water was just running down them because the humidity was so insane while I was there. So humidity in Lexington, Kentucky was no joke. Like it was moist. Oatmeal raisin gets too much hate. Let's be real here. I will eat oatmeal raisin cookies, but I'd have to be in like Brazil or Peru or something. If and what I'm talking about almost anything. If let's say I'm at the grocery store or I'm at a farmer's market or the cookie depot, which doesn't exist yet. I'm not pulling an oatmeal raisin off the counter. That's not the one I'm buying. What's up? I'm still on my raisin rant. Yeah. Sure. All right. My wife updating me mid live stream. Uh no, raisins are over. Raisins are done. I've tried with Styrogyne repens. It always melts after 6 months, and so it never seems to come back. I use root tabs and stratum, 6 hours of light full intensity. I don't know what to do. Are you doing any liquid fertilizers? If not, that's what I would apply. Are you doing any CO2? If not, that's what I would apply. It's not hot like that here in Spokane, but we are covered in smoke with the wildfires. I was watching the live stream last night and before I went live today about the like 600 structures lost in Spokane. Crazy. Um, being a guy that does love nature, I find all kinds of, I don't want to say just natural disasters, but maybe weather events, I don't know what to call it, fascinating. So watching tornadoes and all that kind of stuff, like just listening to it, and then I start thinking like it'd be crazy to like Randy was telling me when they had warnings, like slept downstairs, and just like that's a whole different thing that we don't even worry about in the Northwest. Like we basically have fires and we have earthquakes, and that's all. And those are both kind of well, I mean everything's at random, but like the earthquake, there's no real like you prep. I have earthquake insurance or some stuff, but um there's no like real warning to it or anything, so it's not like, oh well, it's tornado night, I'm sleeping downstairs or anything. It's just it happens when it happens. I read that differently. Lisa said, I would have taken an NFL linebacker out for an oatmeal raisin cookie while pregnant. I read it as like, why only NFL linebackers would you take them to go get a cookie, and not that you would like tackle them to get a cookie? That came second. But I was like, that's a weird statement. You're just taking out only NFL linebackers. Yeah, I take them out to buy them cookies. Huh. Earlier in the stream, someone asked how to prep a fish room for an evacuation. I don't know. Um, like step one might be, and no one will do it, but get earthquake plans for your tank stands. The store has them because I had to pay the $17,000 to get them, or whatever crazy number it was. Um, so you can earthquake strap stands and tanks and stuff to the wall. I think it's all guessing. Like, what I mean by that is like, is it actually going to help? I think having an exit plan makes sense. I think, if you're really worried about earthquakes, having some like Rubbermaid ponds. So like if tanks cracked, you can put the fish in there. I don't know. There's probably someone who's done some kind of maybe public aquariums have a plan that makes sense. I don't know. I don't think I don't think enough of us have gone through earthquakes to be like, okay, now that I went through it, I've learned this and I'll do this. We can look at other people that have had earthquakes, but it's still, there's always a different thing when you've experienced something. Oh, next time I would do this. So I'm not sure. Yeah, smash that like button. We're only an hour and 41 minutes into it when I was supposed to tell you in the first 20 to like, subscribe, share, do the things. So I'm only about an hour and 25 minutes late on that. Real bad at my job. Maybe CEO Corey can remember to do that one of these days. Let's see. I don't understand that comment. Is the hobby popular down or up right now? Seems down to me. Are you saying is a hobby more or less popular? I would say it's this exact moment less popular because it's the summer, but overall, like on a year, I have no idea if the trend is up or down. What's funny, what I do find funny is my entire 20 years being in the hobby, people always ask and guess about that question. And all I can say is in the last 20 years, there's been a ton of fish stores, a ton of fish nerds, all that. Are there more or less? I have no idea. There seems to be just a lot though. So, to me, it's almost like asking, are there more or less fast food restaurants around the world? Like, I don't know. There's just so many. I don't know. There's more than I need. Like any day I could go get fast food. So there's enough. And I feel like that's aquarium. Like, I don't know. There's so much aquarium stuff kind of going on worldwide. Like, is it bigger or smaller? It's just big. I don't know. I don't know if it's actually bigger or smaller than it was, but it's still huge. I'm on the hunt for blooded Yucatan mollies. What does blooded mean? Does that mean like with lineage or like wild genes? Or is blooded like an actual, like, different color variation or something? Blooded Yucatan mollies. Yeah, I'm guessing it's just wild genetic self and mollies. Wildfire is way louder and way hotter than you think? Huh. I I guess that would make sense because it's yeah. If you get a bonfire going a little bit, that's pretty loud. Like we had a windstorm event where when the trees came down and stuff a few years ago, I'm still legitimately scared. Like the boom or the cracks from these hundreds of foot tall trees cracking, like one broke off in half and then came down, and it was so loud and so scary. Um that yeah, I still think about it all the time how I want more weather events because I find them fascinating, but it is scary. But I'm just like, this is insane to me. This is so weird. And yeah, so I find it fascinating. And maybe that's why I can get in the water. It should be terrifying and it's fascinating. And I think my curiosity outpaces my fear, which is probably not a good thing to have. During an earthquake, I heard a loud crash, thought my 125 broke. Nope, the arowana jumped out, picked him up, and put him back in. Was never the same again. Yeah. Our Neocaridina shrimp, doable in a 5-gallon tank. I struggle a bit with them in a 3-gallon due to water instability. I think shrimp are doable in almost any size. What I would say is if you're struggling in a 3 and you're having water instability problems, they're probably not fitting your schedule in a 3. So if you're like, man, I need to do a water change every 3 days and I just don't have time for that because I miss it every third week, a 5-gallon might solve your problem, but a 10-gallon might solve it even more. And I really question, and I've done this a bunch of times with people in store. They'll be like, I don't have room for a 10-gallon. I'm like, really? Because we're really talking like 2 inches like each way. Like, really? Like you might, sure, maybe you don't have that, but a 10-gallon to me, I mean, I run 14 of them. I love a 10-gallon, and they're just big enough to do so much with, and there's so many cookie cutter parts. I need to make that video. Like the reason the 10 gallons are amazing is they're like the Toyota Camry of aquariums. They're like, you can get replacement parts. Everybody makes a product for it. Like, oh man, I wonder if I can get a hang on back filter. Yep. I wonder if I can get a sponge filter. Yep. I wonder if I can get everything exists for a 10-gallon. Where the minute you go down to 5 and 3 gallons and 7 gallons, you've already gone like, oh, I got to go to a specialist. It's the difference between like the 10-gallon is the Toyota Camry and like every part store will have a replacement part for you. And then you've got an exotic import car where it's like, oh, this is going to be real difficult to find a replacement part for. That's the minute you step down from the 10, you basically fall into that territory. And it's not that it won't work, and it's not that that custom import isn't super cool. It's just that the 10-gallon is so plentiful that it's super duper easy. I find that more and more aquarium stores are closing down in my state. Yeah. I would I would guess that closing down in one state, opening up in another state. During COVID and work from home nowadays and everything, populations are shifting a lot. And when that happens, business lags behind because we're stuck in leases, right? So if everybody today said, we're moving to the West Coast, Corey, my business, I'm locked in for like another 7 years in Kentucky minimum because I've signed a lease. And so I think there's some of that where, as more people can work from home and just other things, as we spread out, populations that were higher can shift a little bit. And what's interesting is, you could be like, my town has the same population my city does. It didn't change. It did change in that homeowners and things, people that maybe have the discretionary income for a fish tank, move to more rural area, and then younger people or people that like the city life are inhabiting the city, and they're less likely to own that aquarium and buy as many fish. Maybe they own that 3-gallon instead of that 30-gallon, right? And so when you look into that stuff, there's actually so many layers of that onion to peel back and go, has it changed? Is it changing? Is there a different dynamic here? Is it, and that's where you start getting to how many people or how many fish per person are being bought. Like you might say there's the same amount of people keeping fish today as there was 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago, but we might see that they're buying less fish because they got more expensive, or their aquariums are smaller, or whatever the reason is. Maybe homes and apartments are smaller. I don't know. But there's a million little things, and that's what business is. Like, well, if everyone used to buy per year 4.3 tetras, and now they're buying 3.7 tetras on average, that affects the bottom line of a business. And then like, okay, but rent goes up 3% every year, and this is happening, and then they might have to relocate or shut down or move. There also could be generational things where like maybe it's harder for someone younger to start a business today than it was 30 years ago, and so there's no one to replace that business. Like in my area, there's 2 stores that I can think of that they're trying to sell their fish stores because they're just older. Like they're in that like, okay, well, I'm getting close to 70, like need to stop going to work, want to find a successor to this, trying to sell it. But I'm sure a business like that is one medical event away from like, okay, and we're just shutting down. Like I had a heart attack, or my mobility's not as good, or something, and like, okay, I guess we couldn't find a buyer. We're just gonna shut it down. So yeah, I think overall though, I also think there's a big trend and difference in more people are shopping online than ever. So, that so I think you could easily say, I think this is true, maybe if we're losing fish stores, we're gaining fish stores online. More and more online every day. I think that's outpacing how many are going away in retail, or like physical retail. All the standard white clouds I see online are silver with white stripe, but mine are much darker brownish gray with orange stripe. Are there different strains, or is it the food escape? There are some different like strains. There was some people on the forum that line breed them and kind of do some different things with them. So, and there's also the Vietnamese white cloud versus other white clouds. But I think for the most part, they're all pretty similar. Do I ever think about moving out of Washington? I've thought about it, but all my family's here. I like the weather here. I love my house here, and so I guess my answer to that is I'm hoping not to. I don't want to have to move again, because I want to just focus on living life. It's a weird concept, but the way I view it is basically my wife and I gave up everything from 30 till today, essentially, to put into the business. Every hour of every day, for many years, you guys watched me, I would stream on every holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all of that, because it was advantageous to the business to do it. And over the years, we slowly pull it back a little bit. So now I can have Christmas with my family. I can do Thanksgiving with my family and 4th of July with my family. Um, and so where was I going with that? So never having to move. And my hope is that every year that goes by, more and more I move towards, I used to think it was retirement, but mostly just a better work-life balance. Like yesterday I went to the zoo, which it would be unheard of. I tried to work a half day on the day I got married. And so I'm working more and more towards, like, one of the things I'm trying to force myself to do, and I'm not doing it very well, is because I work Sundays now, or again, I'm trying to take Friday off. I still work on Friday a little bit, but I'm trying to go justify, and I haven't even told my company yet. But I was gonna, tell the people I work with, like, hey, if you can, I'm trying to like let's plan like I have Friday, Saturdays off. Obviously, if something's on fire, in the business, like I'm gonna work no matter what. But if it's like, hey, the thing's doing a thing, but it could wait, like let's wait till Sunday then. I heard old school hobbies are coming back among the kids today. Hopefully, more ethical business like Aquarium Co-op and Dan's Fish get popular. The hobby will catch on among the kids. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. Getting older in the pandemic were the things deciding factors for us. We used to have multiple fish rooms and supplied local fish stores. Uh, COVID-19 gave us a good excuse to become hobbyists and drop to a max of 2 tanks. Nice. Yeah, just transition into enjoyment mode. Any recommendation on a light that's similar to the discontinued Aquarium Co-op light? Something easy and simple yet reliable? I haven't evaluated enough lights, but same thing I've been saying for a little while. If I was buying a light right now, I'd probably be buying a Phoenix. There's quirks that I would change, but if I needed a light tomorrow, I would buy one of those because it would get done what I need to. Price point's okay, and I would deal with the quirks. Mm. How are the solar panels doing? Is everything up and running now? Yep, solar panels doing great. Uh, while I was in Brazil, actually, I noticed that I came to the realization there's no way that this system is working correctly. Because I was cutting so much power. I was just optimizing, and no matter what I did, it seemed like I just could not. Like, there's no way I was going to have enough power banked up for winter. And so I emailed the company. I was like, something has to be wrong here. And sure enough, it turns out they had forgot to flip the switch that would allow me to produce more power than I use. So what was happening is if I turned off a light or I replaced the light bulb with more energy efficiency, it would use less energy and my system would produce less energy. And so I kept cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. I'm like, the system is making less and less energy over time. Like, this is not working at all. And it's because they had a switch on my account that basically said any energy produced over what you use, just go into no man's land. So once I clicked that button, I started producing like 500% more than I needed to, which is good because we designed the system here in Washington so that during the summer when there's all this sun, we feed it back into the grid, we get a credit with our utility, and then during the winter, those credits will apply then when we're not making much power at all because of the way, how far, where we are in the world and, how much sun we get and everything. And so I'm pleased, and I still don't know, like, we designed the system in theory that it would produce 110% of what we used. So in theory, but then we got an electric car and I swapped a water heater from propane to electric. So, but I've done so much optimizing that I think I'm going to be good. But there's also projects like I want to put another air pump on the pond. That's going to run 24/7. So there's things, and I just want to make sure that I basically have a very small bill at the end. So it's working, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping that it's the answer we were looking for. But won't know for maybe another 18 months to really know how it shakes out. Have you implemented AI or automatic monitoring of everything to computers and adjustments? What does that mean? I think the fact that I'm asking that is the answer is no. Are you talking like price adjustments and stuff? No, we're not doing any tracking and auto adjusting or anything like that. Captain 3 says, I've got a negative $700 balance. I'll burn through that in the winter. Yeah, I'm sure we would too. I don't know. I just got a bill and I didn't look it up. Maybe I'll do that right now. I'm super curious to know. because the last month we had like a partial month where it's like, oh, we actually fed some back into the grid, like awesome. And I think this, or not, yeah, the month before that, when I was like in June. So July is now over, and I think that'll be the first bill that will show like how much excess power I made. I don't know if it'll put it in uh monetary amounts or not. So I'm curious to see if it will. Let's see. How do I see my bill? Paperless. I know there's a button here. View pay bill. Let's see if it says anything, because I'm just genuinely curious. So with the AI, no. With your fish tanks, etc., using artificial intelligence to come up with solutions and also monitor all these tanks, make slight adjustments. Nope. Um, I think why I don't is, to me, it would be like, do you use AI to cook? So maybe that's a good example. I don't use the feature on like a microwave that's like defrost till it's defrosted. I always would, like, if I needed to defrost something, I would see how long it took, and then I would always use that number. And I think organic things like aquariums and other stuff, it's not so much, it's not a do this for sure we'll get that. There's so many inputs and so many outputs that it's a cooking to taste scenario. And I think aquariums are that, like the cooking to taste a lot of times. Let's see. Is there anything here that says how much credit I have? So I made, let's see. Looks like we net metering does it doesn't show me total. And I don't know which is which, but maybe the studio here made a credit of $398 this month or last month or whatever. And then the house made a credit of $280, I think, which in the winter to heat this building and stuff, our power bill was $800 to $1,000 a month. So I'm hoping that it will balance out. Your current net metering balance is 6,632 kilowatt kWh. So I have a surplus of that. Ooh, it's been a couple hours already. Was going to ask a follow-up question about getting credit back from surplus produced. BGE is starting to only credit us half a kilowatt for every 1 kilowatt surplus. Yeah, so if you make one, you get half. So if you make 1,000, you get 500. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of. I mean, I'm kind of, well, if you guys are following me, you know this. I nerd out about everything. Oh, that's interesting. I want to learn. And yeah, so I expect that'll happen to us at some point in the future, where it's like, oh, there's peak demand pricing, there's this, there's that, and I'll probably get more, not more, I'll get some batteries or something. But I'm hoping, my hope is that we will build a universal standard in America that allows our surplus to be stored in our cars, which I know, like, oh, the Ford Lightning can do that. I think the Cybertruck can do that. There's a few vehicles that can basically be the whole house backup. Not very many currently. There's V to L, which is vehicle to loads. But in theory, the capability exists that we could have it so that when your car is plugged in, it's a giant battery. We know that because we drive it around. It's a giant battery, and it can run your house. And my long-term play that I'm trying to do would be that instead of buying expensive batteries, because they were very expensive, to run the fish room for 8 hours during a power outage, the battery was like 20 grand. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense with the heat and everything, right? So like the heat's a big load. And so that was like, I want to say it was 10 kilowatt hours or something, or whatever it was, for 20 grand. Meanwhile, you can buy a car with 70 to 80 kilowatt hours for 50 grand. And so that's a way better deal. And I could drive it around. So I can drive to the store and be like, hey, power to the store while the power's out. Awesome. And so my long-term hope plan is solar power, 2 electric vehicles. They're the battery backups. And when the power goes out, drive one car right over to here, which is like 40 feet away, just plug it in. this fish room runs. And then the solar, if there's any solar during that power outage, could repower it a little bit, or I could go drive and refill it at a power station somewhere. So that's my, oh, that would be super cool. Hope that works out, long-term approach, and I'm going to try to make that happen. But and even some of the car chargers we have right now, the internals exist inside of them to make that happen legally with permitting and stuff around the country. It's not there yet. Just like plug-in solar, you guys might have seen some stories about that popping up, where balcony solar, where basically you put a few panels around your railing, you could be making power, it could feed, and maybe it powers all your aquariums. That's a great example. Man, I should be on the forefront of this, and when they legalize it here in Washington, show people how you could use those panels and like a battery or whatever, which I think the battery is some people don't really need, but how you could maybe make this like for $1,000, you could run your aquariums forever, basically. And I think that's a use case, because I think when we think about solar, so often it's, how do I get enough solar that it would get rid of all of my bill? But what if it was instead, what if you spent $5,000 and it took $200 off your bill forever? Like, that's a great return long term. And so it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I think that's what the balcony solar thing will show people a lot of, like, wow, I reduced my bill by quite a bit for this. And I think for aquariums or little fish rooms and stuff, it's really going to make sense. And yeah, so I'm hoping to do more and more with that. Like, if you guys saw a long time ago, I worked with like a solar heater, basically, where I built that box that was filled a screen, you put it in the sun, and you blew air through it, and the incoming temperature in the fish room was like 73, and coming out to be like 100, and that was slowly heating and keeping my fish room warmer during the day. I still think about doing that, or doing, a water heater on the roof, where I would have like all the black hose or whatever on the side that doesn't have the solar, have all like the black hose, and then do my water changes. So that's where I got my hot water from. But it's mostly that'd be fun to do and cool, not like, I don't think that actually makes money sense. So I don't know if I'll do it. Do I use a Mac? I recently switched to a Mac, and I find it runs so much faster when I'm coding and doing other work. I'm much more efficient. Yeah, so for work, all I use is Mac currently. So there's a Mac Studio, iPhone. I've got a MacBook Pro, or not, MacBook Air I travel with. It's from 2022 or whatever. And they're just really efficient for those types of things. Gaming, terrible. And every once in a while, I still am not, even though I've used this for work, I'm still not as proficient as I am in Windows. In Windows, I can figure out anything. Any driver, I can do anything. And then when it comes to Mac, routinely once a month, I got to look something. I'm going, what do I got to do? Where is this setting hidden? And so I think it's because I've got the tech brain, and Apple is built for, it's basically built for like my mother-in-law and my mom, where it's like meant to be so easy that it becomes counterintuitive to a guy like me. Like, why would you build a file system this way? Why would you, a great example, I was trying to clear the cache on my garage door opener app. And even though I went to the app section in my iPhone, the cache is not there. It's in the cache section instead of the app section, which stuff like that drives me nuts. So, do I still play WoW? Nope, I do not. I did just put down a down payment on a framework computer, or on a laptop. So if you guys are aware of that, if not, I'll give a quick TLDR. It's basically a laptop where the whole premise is everything is replaceable. So every part you could buy on their website. So if your keyboard broke, you buy a keyboard. If your battery went bad, you buy a battery. If you want to replace the RAM, you can do that. If you crack the screen, you just order one up and you can install it yourself. It's the whole premise is every part is replaceable by you, and not the buy and throw away scenario. Apple is very much that. They last a really long time, but when something does break, it's very costly to replace a screen or something like that. And so I'm interested because I always run into a situation about once a year where I need a laptop that has an Ethernet port, and none of my Macs ever have an Ethernet port. And so the framework, which has cool, you can swap out the ports. So I'm very excited to have Ethernet and SD card ports and micro SD and swapping all the little ports as I want. Excited for that. And it'll be nice. So when I go to Kentucky or I go to here, I'm working on the network or something, which as a CEO, I probably should never do again. But I'm the guy that knows how to do some things. And it'd be nice just to be like, oh, I can do that. I can hook straight up to it. And when I'm yelling at my internet provider and they go, well, are you hooked up directly? I'm like, no, nobody this day and age has laptops that have Ethernet ports. Who are you kidding? I'm telling you, it doesn't work. And so then eventually I'll like lug over a docking station for my laptop and everything and be like, yep, still doesn't work. Now fix it. The fact that I'm calling you we've already gotten to a point where, but they can't know that I reasonably know how to fix my own stuff. So yeah, the name of the company is called Framework. It's expensive. Well, it's not cheap, but the whole goal would be that, let's say in a 10-year span, if you had to replace parts or you wanted to upgrade, you would be saving money that way. But initially, like, I could just buy like a Mac or a Dell or something, and it would be cheaper off the rip, but not repairable as the framework would be. Shout out to Levi, my Mac IT guy. He makes it look easy. Awesome. Yeah, my bugaboo too. No Ethernet ports. Yeah, it's kind of like when phones lost their microphone / headphone jack. It's I don't know that was a worthy addition, and laptops, a majority of them losing Ethernet, I don't think was an upgrade. Like I'm a guy that wants more ports. So like I think my MacBook Air, I think I have like 2 ports on it, and it's like this is not a lot. So then you end up like, I gotta plug in a dongle and I gotta run 3 things with that dongle. And like on my little gaming laptop, it's like, well, I gotta plug in my mouse. I want to plug in my headphones, and then I have a laptop cooler. And so it's like, okay, that's another plug. And then, my laptop, like, it doesn't have a USB port on that side, which means I'd have to run a long cable. So that means instead I'm going to convert from Type C to USB, the bigger plug. And it's like, where the framework, I need that on this side. Let me just unplug that, plug it in, boom, done. Yeah. Is your device plugged in? Yes, it's plugged in. Have you tried resetting it? Yes, I've tried resetting it. But I've also been on the other side of that where I go to like my grandma's house or something. A great example, like my mother-in-law's house. The Apple TV doesn't work. Like, okay. And so I can't get to respond at all. And I'm like, oh, do you ever charge your remote? No. Okay. So I start charging it. Turns out somehow the HDMI cable got unplugged a tiny little bit from this Apple TV. And it took me like 30 minutes to figure that out. And I'm like, what are you doing? Crawling around back here? And so, yeah, there is ample. Did you try plugging it in? Is it all the way, And that part of my checks when I found that I didn't factor in, that, oh yeah, I was moving some stuff over there the other day. Like I couldn't have known that. So my phone won't charge and use the earbuds at the same time. I guess I have to upgrade to wireless buds. Yeah. Not related to Fish Keeping World. Did you watch any World Cup games besides USA? Who would you be rooting for? I became, I was gonna say the number 1 fan, but like the number 2,962,000 fan of Brazil, because the people were so passionate about it. It was infectious. So I was like rooting for Brazil, and now I'm like a pseudo Brazil fan of like, well, and I love the colors, right? Like, who doesn't love that yellow and green? Like, look at this. They're basically my company colors in a jersey. Like, who doesn't love that? So I would, but no, I only watched the ones basically in when I was in Brazil because they were, like almost shut the country down. It's game time for Brazil, so that was fun. Yeah, if I get a framework, I'll tell you about it. Well, so I pre-ordered it, and it's stupid expensive because RAM prices are expensive, and I think I won't even get mine till sometime in November. So it's like a long ways out. So it's a long term. Yeah, let me put. I think I put $100 down. And like, yeah, let me know when I could actually get this thing, and we'll see if I'm still super jazzed on it. Is your mother-in-law using that printer with the scanner that you bought her? I thoroughly enjoyed that story. Yes, she does. She uses it a lot. Uh, well, the printer part. She she is one of those people. I was gonna say one of those old people because it's not just old people though. It's just one of those people who wants a physical record of like everything. And so I how many months ago was that? Like 6 months ago? I don't know what timeline that is exactly. 8 months ago. But my wife has had to buy and install toner like twice. And I'm like, how much is she printing? These toner cartridges like 10,000 pages each. And sometimes I go over to that office and I'm like, you're literally just printing like everything. Like everything has a physical copy. And she's one of those people that doesn't trust that it could like live in the email and have like a digital backup on the computer. There's gotta be a physical copy somewhere. And so yeah, she definitely getting her money's worth out of that printer, printing a ton. RAM prices are ridiculous. Yeah. So part of it is like I don't need new computer. Like my gaming ones still all my computers still work. Um some things are starting to slow down just a little bit, and uh there is that Ethernet port problem that I've had from time to time. And I kind of want to support this company. So, you know, it's not that like my MacBook Air from 2022 is still working fine. What year is this one from? Tell me about this Mac. This Mac is from, let's see here. It's an M2. Does it give me a date? I guess not. But this MacBook Studio, 2023. So 3 years old, not terribly old, almost 4 years old. 64 gigabytes of memory, does everything I need to do. And they're expensive though. Like this thing was probably like 3 or 4 grand when I bought it. And so does everything I need to do. And yeah, mostly just sometimes you get bored and you're like, you want to try something. That's basically what this framework is. Like, yeah, I kind of want to, I want to play with it. That's really what it comes down to. Do I know any good places to get fancy goldfish? I don't want to accidentally order microbacteria outbreak again. Nope. You have that same risk anywhere. You could buy a fish from me and you could have that. So whenever people go, I don't want to have this bad experience. That's the best way to never get advice, by the way. You say, I got bad advice from somebody. I went and ate there and got food poisoning. Do you know where I could go and not get food poisoning? Like instantly I'm like, nope, I don't. Because you can get food poisoning from anywhere. And that's kind of with sick fish. It's like, well, you could technically get sick fish from anywhere. All you can do is improve your odds. And I also don't think I have a great source right now. Like, I don't think I know, like, yeah, I would buy it from here for sure. I don't think I have that either. So, like, before it might have been like Dandy Aranda's or, I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, I don't think I have a good source for goldfish, but yeah, I'm always hesitant when like people have a bad experience and like I don't want to give advice because then if you have that same bad experience, you're gonna be like, yeah, Corey doesn't know anything either. What a fool. Let's see. Yeah, the problem with printing everything when you're gone, somebody's gonna have to go through it all. Yeah. Yep. Been using both Mac and Windows for many years. Mac is the main workhorse for all photo editing, design work, more reliable. Windows mainly for gaming. Happy I built a new AMD PC last winter. Yeah, it's to get on a completely non-fish related topic. The day that Mac basically gets full compatibility for gaming, I think they just win, right? Like and you can play a lot of great titles on a Mac, but there's still so many games that you can't, or it doesn't get full compatibility. It runs a little weird. The minute they get that figured out, whew, is probably when they'll give it 5 years, then they'll be bad because they'll have dominated the market. Am I going to sell tubing in the future? Yeah, that's the plan. Our next container will have one size coming over, and if that goes well, then we'll release a bunch of other sizes. I want to make sure they're not all kinked up and they ship right and they're not jammed into a box and mutilated or anything, because tubing in mass is very expensive, I guess. Turns out. Yeah, Dan's Fish is wonderful for fish, but they don't sell goldfish, which I've told him to sell goldfish because I was like, man, you could make a lot of money selling goldfish. But as far as I know, doesn't sell goldfish. Have you ever been to Pruis Pets? I've been there. Yeah, it's a good store. I just noticed there's 350 people, only 74 likes. Yeah, hit that like button. But I will mention that a lot of times it doesn't update. So if you refresh your thing or reopen it, it'll update with the current likes. For whatever reason, it can lag behind. Yeah, as soon as Mac is good enough for gaming, I'll never buy anything different. Yeah, I think most people that have used Mac probably feel that way. My biggest thing, actually, here's the biggest thing I like about Mac: their heat management. So, like, my MacBook Air doesn't have fans. It runs silent. It runs on battery for a super long time. The keyboard doesn't get hot. And then you go to like my PC doing the same task. You just got 400 tabs open in your browser and that kind of stuff. And that thing is like hot to the touch. So much so I use a fan laptop cooler. And yeah. And I don't like the sound. I don't like the sound from fans on laptops and or the coolers. And my dog doesn't either. Really what it comes down to is my dog Wincy loves to sit on my legs in my lap when I have a laptop and I'm working, right? And the fans, she doesn't like the sound of it, and I don't either. And so I would, I'd really, and so much so I watched nerdy videos testing keyboard temperatures under load and decibel meetings on fans, and none of them, they just don't even come close to Mac. The problem is the games I want to play, when I do play them, aren't on Mac. And so I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. And the minute they can do that for me, I will be very happy about it. Zabis says, I finally made a live stream this month. Me too, buddy. Me too. Me too. Which are your foods you recommend for the platies? Bonus, if they work in the auto feeder, it's probably on my desk, right? Do I have it on my desk? Nope. Well, it's out of reach, but the community pellet. Community floating pellet. Community floating pellet. It's my goat. Love it, love it, love it. I will say after live streaming, I think that day, last Sunday, I fed the bite size and I was like, oh man, bite size is amazing. Like I threw too much shade at it. But I need to figure out how to call myself out of my own BS, because I can't just say all my foods are amazing all the time, because that'll just sound like I'm a shill, which I am a shill. I'm supposed to shill my own stuff, but I really tried really hard and I do like my foods like a lot. And maybe that's what everyone else feels. Like maybe every other product and food I've criticized over years, maybe they feel like I feel right now. I don't think so though, but that's how I feel. And it's not that we couldn't make a bad product, 'cause we've had problems in the past, but I just feel like these foods are really something special. And so I really love Community Pellet. I mean, I love all the foods. I wouldn't put my name. So not every Aquarium Co-op product has my face on it. Some we released a long time ago, like sponge filters I would put on it. We just haven't updated the packaging. But there are products that we release new that don't get the Corey seal of approval. And it's because I don't use that product all the time. And so I'm trying to think of I think like the 3D printed products, even though I'm in design and I love them, I don't use them all the time. So I don't put my face on it going seal of approval, because it's hard to put your seal of approval on something if you're not using it. Like, if it's so good, why don't you use it? Well, true. Okay. That makes sense. So, yeah. Let's see. It's basically when people say they're boycotting Amazon, but you can't because even USPS uses Amazon Web Services. Yeah, true enough. Oh, I guess see that was a follow up to AI is something that people don't understand. It is into rage. It's easy to rage against it, even though I've been using it. Yeah, so I have this like I've done a you've heard it. I've done a whole stream on AI, but I so if we break it down, I'm gonna do this little spiel and then I'm gonna call it because I should do other things today. But uh, artificial intelligence to me, I'm like, is that not a calculator? So my entire life, I've had access to a calculator, and artificially, it'll calculate the answer, and that's artificially kind of intelligent. And then there's like Excel spreadsheets. That's kind of intelligence. And then there's like spell word checker in Word. That's kind of artificial intelligence. I kind of been using it my whole life. However, the parts that I haven't used my whole life was like image generation. So like make an image out of thin air. Um, and so I think that there are aspects to artificial intelligence that we accept and we like, and then there are ones that we don't accept and we don't like yet. And I think we don't like the outputs. And so, like, I do think it's amazing that, like, that it could collate information the way it does. We don't like when it gets something wrong, though. And so I think AI or artificial intelligence, not the big race that everyone's trying to do right now, but I think in general we will embrace more and more. Like our phones are basically just artificial intelligence. So if you think about it, imagine your whole life you only had access to the people you talk to and that's it. Your intelligence level would be whatever you could glean from the people you talk to. You could artificially raise that by putting an all-knowing device in your pocket. You can Google anything. I want to know, how do capybaras see the color green? I can have that answer today, basically, or in a few minutes. And so that artificial intelligence, I think, is pretty much everywhere. And we pretty much have all adopted like cell phones are amazing, smartphones anyway. And I think we're going to see just more and more and more things become smart. And at the end of the day, almost all artificial intelligence is a series of if then statements. If this is happening, do this. And we've had that almost our entire, at least in my life, coding has been around since I was born, basically. And so I think we'll find more and more ways that we are making things smarter. But as we all know, smarter doesn't mean better. Like you might not need smart toilet paper. Like, and we had that way before we knew what AI was. We had the dash buttons for Amazon, right? You could have this little physical button that you put somewhere, and you're like, I put it next to my laundry detergent. When I click the button, it automatically orders and sends to my house a new bottle of Tide or whatever it was. And so I think that we will just have infinite more and more technology, whether or not we'll call it AI or not. I think we've always had artificial intelligence, not always, obviously, in my lifetime. We've always had artificial intelligence and we're just getting more and more of it. So I don't think that it's, but I also think it's being, you know, so imagine the world's best coder making a program. You're like, wow, that's really nice. Now imagine everybody on the planet learns how to write Hello World, which is a coding nerd joke. Like now everybody can, do a write line, Hello World. And the next thing is, now that I can do that, I can make it say anything. And now that everybody can say anything, the quality is no longer high. So you had the one person that can make something amazing. Now you have billions of people that can make things that are very, very mediocre. And so the quality level went way down. And I think that's what we don't like right now. I think we don't like quality being super far down. And so I think over time, though, either A, more and more people will learn how to use it better, or B, more and more people won't embrace the fact that they can make the codes say hello world, and quality level should rise again. And for the most part, we all accept that calculators are just right. So much so, why would I need to learn math if I can use a calculator, right? That's a statement that comes out. You hear people say it every day. So, yeah. You can train a parrot to talk, but just because you understand it doesn't mean it understands what it's saying. Hmm. That's maybe, is that the 2026 philosopher? Hmm. All right. I think that's where I call it with the talking about AI at the end. And yeah, maybe not. Why do most aquarium product companies steer away from online sellers versus brick and mortar? Just curious because it's very hard to get product food and dry on my store website. Uh, well, it's kind of like AI. So why wouldn't Aquarium Co-op just sell to anybody? Maybe that's the question, right? You have a website, so do there's probably 50,000 other aquatic websites. Well, the answer is, how do I know that you won't run into the ground? How do I know you won't be terrible with customer service? How do I know you won't charge 10x the price or one half the price? Or like one store, we caught them diluting Easy Green like 10 years ago, right? So the logic behind a brick and mortar is it takes more to set up, and it there's a physical place to go. It's not a fly by night company, and it's easier to have a reputation online, and it's a dividing line basically of that. And so I think that's how it comes about. So the easiest way, like when I was coming up as a store, it was to get a wholesale account, take pictures of your store, send us the Google reviews, do this, and this. I want a picture of your lease agreement. I want this, I want that, I want that. You have to sign a personal guarantee. You got to do this, you got to do that. If you do all those steps, then you can now buy from us wholesale. And I think so at the end of the day, it's to protect consumers and the business. That's, I think, why it's made to be difficult, is it's trying to weed out. Because in a perfect world, you go like, well, there's 50,000 businesses and they all want to spend lots of money with Aquarium Co-op. Why wouldn't you take it? You'd have to be a fool not to take all that money, because you could have people ruin the brand by doing it. And so I think that's why so even today, when I go to rent a warehouse or something, there's background checks. I have to submit financials. I have to do personal guarantees. I have to do all the things. And it's because they don't want to get burned. And so I think that it's actually pretty easy for a lot of the wholesale accounts. Even though it seems like a lot of work, it's actually pretty easy, and comparatively to a lot of the things in business. Last thing, Corey, did you ever get burned out from fish keeping? Yes, all the time. Because it's my hobby, it's my job, it's all of the things. I think people, they probably need like 10 hours of aquariums every week. And when you're doing it like 100 plus, it's real easy to be like, it's too much. I don't want to talk about it right now. Talk to me about anything. But I also, I boom and I bust. I go real hard, I go light. I go real hard, I go light. And surrounding yourself with aquarium people is the best way to stay in it. So I recommend doing that, and finding other people that share your passion. And because you might not be in the mood to research something, but someone goes, hey, did you see this? And you go, no, I haven't seen that. Wow, it's amazing. And then you get into it. So surround yourself with nerds, kind of like this live stream. Hang out with people. They'll say, have you seen this? They'll say, has anyone breeding CPDs in 8.0 pH? I'm not. I haven't had luck with that here. But somebody go, yes. And then now you're excited. And now you're doing it. And so the best way is surround yourself with other fish geeks, and you'll probably work through your burnout if you're burnt out. Switch it up. Have fun. But that's all I got for today. I will see you guys next Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We will hang out. Maybe you'll do your maintenance. Maybe you'll be shopping on the website and buying stuff, and it'll ship out tomorrow morning, bright and early. And maybe you'll have some fun. So thanks for thanks for hanging out. We will see you next time. Let me find the buttons.